This is my e-ink tablet. It gets weeks of battery life, has a pen that never needs to be charged, and a ceramic nib that never needs to be replaced. With a unique textured writing surface, it's as close to the grain of paper that I've ever felt. The operating system is heavily restricted to be distraction-free. There's only 2 apps and no notifications. There's no subscription needed, it includes free cloud storage, and you can completely use it offline even with OS updates through USB, so no accounts are needed. Need more storage? Add in a micro SD card. The battery's dead, replace the part yourself. This is the new and improved Supernote, the Supernote Nomad, made for those who write. I'm so excited for this. There are 3 things in this package. That is so soft. Oops. Oh, it's one of those open like that. Oh, I want to be clicking that all day. Freaking screwdriver. Oh my God, I'm gonna send you blind. A right angled USB-C cable. Nice, man, that's so good. This new case, it just magnetizes onto. That's it. What the heck? That was actually, I kind of thought it'd be a little bit harder to align a bit. Okay, magnets work. Done. Pen on the side. This is cool. G'day, I'm Cam, and about 2 years ago, I bought my first Supernote, the A6X, and this thing changed my relationship with tech. It showed me what a smart and modern, but intentionally focused tool can be. And the new model is no different. Every feature is about writing in notebooks, typing in documents, or reading PDFs and books. Whilst Microsoft is intrusively adding news to the taskbar in Windows, and Google adding news one swipe away from your home screen, the Supernote clearly draws a line between consumption and creation, which makes it one of my favorite tools. So today I'm going to share with you why and how I use this thing, as well as the new features that have just come out in the latest model, making it the best Supernote yet. Now, for full transparency, I reached out to Writer, the manufacturer of Supernote, to get a review unit the second I saw this was announced. So although I didn't pay for this model, I wouldn't have used this one every single day if there was something better and I didn't love it. The transition hasn't been flawless. There's been times I've swiped down on the main sidebar and nothing's happened. But after diving through settings, I found a new power save feature, which will actually sleep the tablet with the screen looking like it's on until you actually tap the screen to use it. So I disabled that and now it acts how I expect. However, handwriting sometimes just disappears on the screen, but a full refresh will show that it is actually there. It's just not refreshing the screen correctly. So I presume that bug will be fixed quite soon. Other than that, I've used this for the past month daily and I've had no other issues. I don't even have an iPad anymore, I just have my laptop, my smartphone, and my Supernote. With a 7.8-inch screen, it fits easily into the tablet pocket or my backpack and also into my tech pouch if I take the pen off. And at 266 grams, it's about 2.5 times heavier than a similar sized notebook. There is a larger screen version set to release by the end of the first quarter this year. Gone is the big chin of the previous model. We now have symmetrical bezels, which are most likely due to the magnets of the new case mount system, allowing us to draw off the edge of the screen without interference from magnets, which is something that other e-ink tablets suffer from. And writing in the Supernote is where it shines. Like the Feel-Rite 2 self-recovery soft film is incredible. It replicates the resistance and grain of paper. They even have test data from Wacom comparing it to a pencil on paper. Like they're very serious about this stuff. The screen itself is flexible, so it absorbs pressure like a pen on a paper book would. Sure, you could put a paper-like screen protector on an iPad to make it less slippery, but it's gonna make the colors look whack because it's matte. And then you're also just writing on a hard surface. Like I'm sure you've had to write on a single piece of paper on a hard surface versus a pile of papers like in a notebook. There's a big difference in the feeling. Plus, nothing quite beats an ink display in direct sunlight. The pigments act just like ink on paper. It's like a digital Etch-a-Sketch. Electromagnets move physical pigments in cells towards or away from the surface. The amazing thing is that Writer have made the body the same size as the previous model, so you can buy the new Feel-Rite 2 writing surface and apply it to the previous generation, which is what I've got here. And then you can also just buy the new ceramic nib pen and use it to get the same writing experience. They also, to my knowledge, have released all of the software features to the old model. So there's no planned obsolescence. They want your original hardware to last as long as it can. And then the new one, when it breaks, you can replace it and fix it yourself. It comes with a Phillips head screwdriver. That's right, standard screws, not pentalobe or triangle. They want you to open this thing. With the standard edition, you simply slide the back off. But with the crystal edition, you have multiple screws around the perimeter, holding down the semi-flexible plastic back. This should also mean the composition is slightly resistant to scratches than a rigid backing. We can now see it only takes a couple screws and prying back on the connector to remove the battery. So when this 2700 mAh battery eventually dies, it can be easily replaced by the user. Now you might be thinking, why is the motherboard with the processor and RAM replaceable? Well, If you break your screen, you can now easily transplant the motherboard and the battery into a new screen housing. Amazing to see. With the back removed, you can also chuck in a micro SD card up to 2 terabytes to expand your storage. And for the nerds out there, there's a custom Linux OS on the way, so you should be able to dual boot between the built-in Android and micro SD with Linux. It is worth mentioning being gentle when tightening the screws. I've seen someone overtalk it on the forums, ending up stripping their screw head, possibly aided by the rubbery plastic gripping against the metal. But spare parts is just like the tip of the iceberg of community support, right? People were buying Supernote pens and pulling them apart to remove the EMA cartridge to then put into their favorite pen bodies. They're making like hacked DIY pens. So Supernote were like, cool, we'll just add a DIY section to our website. We'll add a little guide on best practices, some measurements to make sure it fits your pen. Just buy the part you need. They even have a public Trello board so you can see what features are coming and request certain ones to be prioritized. Unfortunately, the feature I'm waiting for, which is the native ability to sideload apps, has been waiting since Feb of 2022. Of course, Reddit users have done it. They've like hacked the operating system to add any app onto it, but I want native support so I can just keep doing auto updates and get all the new features. I kind of actually forget this is a internet capable device because I just use the internet to really back up my files. And honestly, that's great. That's part of why I love this device. Over the past almost 2 years, I've never felt like it's grabbing and screaming for my attention. You can use it completely offline by backing up files to a USB key and connecting it to a computer to copy across the manual software updates. And you can even screencast by just simply putting in the IP address of the Supernote, meaning this never has to touch the internet. Oh, all right, so let's just go over how I use this thing. It's the simplicity that makes this great, right? If I go make a new note, I get 2 types, standard or real-time recognition. With real-time recognition, the words that I handwrite are being converted to text in the background. So I can search for them later in the global file search or simply export them to a text or Word document. This is also processed locally, so there's no AI cloud server nonsense. I write headings with a fine liner, I write my notes with the pressure sensitive pen and use the highlighter where necessary. And you can customize each to a desired size and shade. I used to carry around these dot grid notepads. Now I just go into the templates and change the page to dot grid. I 3D printed a template if I was using a blank page for a to-do list. Now I just change the page to to-do list. There's plenty of built-in options and you can also download some for free offline or buy on Etsy and then add them into the My Styles folder. Just having the ability to make a custom notebook, mix and matching the styles or pages that you're after is almost my favorite feature. My actual favorite feature is the complete lack of concern about making a mistake. If I make a mistake, swipe up on the left to undo, swipe down on the left to redo. 2 fingers on the bar allows me to delete a selection, and 2 fingers on the screen allows me to modify a selection. Here I can move, scale, rotate, cut and paste, and paste, and paste, or with a 2-finger swipe, change pages, and then paste on another page. With paper, I often got annoyed having to reorder tasks in my to-do list, so I'd just start a new page and write them out again. Whereas a Supernote, I just simply select and reorder where necessary. But it takes it further than ink on paper with layers. You can rearrange, hide, unhide, even select your handwriting and set it as a heading and it goes into a table of contents. This way you can easily keep track of the different headings on multiple pages within the one notebook. You can even make your handwriting a link to a different page in a different document or link to a website.
And websites really just like highlight the main quirk of ink displays, right? There's a lot of moving, scrolling, and animations happening on the screen. It looks glitchy, and you end up with these ghosting artifacts. And these are due to pigments in a cell not completely moving. It's using a rapid refresh, so they're not going completely away from the surface. And this happens on the Amazon Kindle and the ink screens that are programmed with. It's just a thing for e-ink. And so a simple swipe up on the right bar initiates a full refresh, doing a negative of the image to get the pigments to move to the right spot. Now a swipe down on the right sidebar gives us our quick access menu. So you can quickly jump between your recently accessed files or your own quick access shortcuts to folders and notes themselves. You can also send handwritten emails or sync your calendar. I don't, but there is the file shortcut here to take us to our file browser. As you can expect, it's folders with our files. And then in the current folder, you can make a new note for writing, new Word document for typing, a Tele Air file for art, a new folder, or go to your favorites. Now, for Word documents, I don't do any typing on the screen. You have to press harder than a phone screen, so I end up just making typos most of the time. So I would recommend connecting a Bluetooth keyboard up for a nice distraction-free typing experience. Or if you're simply making edits, there is a handwritten document markup that you can learn. It's a neat trick, but I never use it. For me, I type my Word documents on my computer, then send them to the Supernote just to read out for my scripts in videos. Like you'll see me holding the Supernote. Now, I've probably said this word like differently every time. Atelier. It's quite exciting is it's the second app to come to the Supernote. It's art-based, you can draw with different pencils. You can change the grayscales, it's very black and white, arty vibes. But unlike the Notes app, which is vector, this is pixel-based. So any drawings that you do currently are restricted to 2,816 by 3840 pixels. If you zoom out to 50%, you can kind of like get a bigger artboard. At the moment, the export creates a PNG image file, but they will be adding Photoshop PSD format soon, which should then preserve your layers. It'd be amazing if this allows us to open up Photoshop documents from a computer, so we could add annotations over images and then re-export them back. That would be cool. But for PDFs and reading books, it just got like a really nice big update with this left sidebar where you can now press and hold to be able to flick through pages. But what's even better is that they've now added an accelerometer or a gyroscope, either or. So when you turn it sideways, it detects that you're now going into landscape mode. It is kind of crazy that just turning it sideways is a feature, but it didn't have that in the previous model. There are nifty handwriting features, so you can select specific text, add notes, and then these pop up in the digest section. So this is great for study or just simply highlighting sections from a book that you really like and want to return to later. But there is a downside to reading on the Supernote. Although it supports lots of file types, including the Kindle app, which the Kindle app itself also supports other formats that you can send to your Kindle account, it hasn't got a backlight. You've got to treat this thing like a book and paper. Now, this is a deliberate decision by Ryder, because remember, this is for those who write. And doing this allows the tip of the pen to be as close to the pigment on the screen, so it not only feels like you're writing, but it looks like you are writing on the surface. But I noticed something, and I'm really excited because I noticed there's pogo pins up the very top. Just that Ryder is going to add external clip-on magnetized attachments. Could be a light bar. I can already see myself 3D printing a little LED bar that can magnetize to the top, even if it's powered by a separate battery. Speaking of which, I've actually been using the Supernote to hand draw all of the explainer graphics in my new guide on 3D printing. It's for beginners and it's everything that I wish I knew before I started 3D printing. So if you want to sign up, the link is in the description below. It'll also be where I'm putting files like the LED bar for the Supernote. If I make it, we actually need to get some of the drawings off the Supernote. So if we swipe down at the top, we've got our manual file sync button. Now, manually syncing combined with ink display and no backlight is definitely the strength behind the battery, because I'm averaging 2 weeks with the Supernote. When I get a low battery warning, I can ignore it for like 3 days. I've never reached for my Supernote and have it be flat. Now, my sync goes to Supernote's free cloud storage. This is hosted by Amazon Web Servers. I chose US servers, so my files should be under US data management laws. Since handwritten notes are vector path files and most documents are text, we're talking like kilobytes, low megabytes per file. It's not like a phone where you've got photos and videos. I haven't deleted things since July of 22 and still have 19 gig available of my 32 gig built-in storage, and the free storage covers all of that minus the operating system files. That's why it's like a weird amount. But if you need, you can sync to Dropbox, Google Drive, or now OneDrive, and this will just make a folder called Supernote in those services, so whatever you drop into it will go down to Supernote.
So at this point, you're probably thinking like, what's the price? You know, what is the competition? How does it stack up? There's 3 other products, I guess, that I would consider. If you need a full Android app store, the Boox tablets give you that. However, I've seen that they're slower, probably because there's other apps running in the background. There's the Remarkable 2, which is only in the larger form factor. So the A5X2, when that launches, will be the best comparison. It only has 8 gigabytes of local storage, and their free cloud sync only allows you to access files that you recently used in the past 50 days. You need to pay a subscription to access older files. And I see concerning videos where you can't draw straight lines on it, which is presumed to be caused by magnets in its own case. And Amazon has their Kindle Scribe, which has a backlight. So really good for Kindle books. Makes sense. I can't comment on the difference in feel because I've never used one, and I'm never going to buy one because when my wife broke her Kindle, I called Amazon and they refused to fix it. They said they don't repair Kindle devices. I called multiple repair shops. They said they can't get the parts for a new screen because Amazon won't provide them to repair shops. And so I've written off Kindle devices until Amazon is clear about repair services. They're a big enough company to foot the bill to be able to make stuff repairable. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but I didn't state the specs of this or those other products, even though they doubled the RAM to 4 gig and have a 1.8 gigahertz quad-core processor, because it doesn't matter. It just does its job. It's like my smartwatch. I don't care what processor's in this thing, as long as it does the job of a smartwatch. This thing does its job beautifully. If they allow you to install any app, then sure, it'll become a consideration. But for now, doesn't matter. The tablet itself has a 2-year warranty, and Supernote claims that the ceramic nib of the pen will never wear out, whereas you have to replace the tips on other pens. As for price, don't hold your breath for a sale. Supernote don't do Black Friday deals or holiday sales because they don't want to support consumerism. They don't want people to feel rushed and hurried to get a deal that just leads to irrational purchases, which then just leads to an influx in returns through their 30-day satisfaction guarantee, understandably causing their employees to be more stressed by having more work, and they just want balance. They want balance for you and I. If there's one word that comes to mind for the Supernote, it's intentions. From the ground up, everything is intentional to serve the customer, not the company. The software never makes me feel distracted or that my attention is being harvested. And I have faith that the hardware will last as long as possible. The plain white back is $299 US. This crystal edition is $329. It's got more screws and pretty stuff to look at through the back. The exact combo here, our push-up pen and the vegan leather folio is $457 US. You can mix and match different accessories. Would I have upgraded with my own money? No. If I was a lefty, yes. The left sidebar, great addition. But I'm perfectly happy with the previous gen. And that is a big deal because they gave it the new software updates and the ability to apply the new Feel-Rite 2 film and use the new ceramic nib pens. This hardware will live on. Of course, I'll enjoy using the new model, so thank you Supernote for sending this one through. And if you buy one, I hope you do too. I do like that it matches my see-through desk build that's going on. Speaking of which, subscribe so you can see the next part as we do that. And coming up in my next vid is this little smart ring and why I don't think they're for me. If you like today's video, thumbs it. If you loved it, sub it. See you next time. I already said sub. Bye.